You see why I had no problem with her being Times Athlete of the Year? You see why I said that she should have been on Team USA? You see why I had to go off on the likes of Cheryl Swoops and others who were clearly distant and dismissive of her, no matter how much they try to deny it? There was resentment towards her, and here's why I said it was stupid.
The internet is ablaze, and Caitlin Clark is once more in the spotlight.
This footage, just figure out what these girls are doing that's pissing you off so much when you ain't focused. Focus. She went back, refocused. That's why I love their...
What began as a straightforward gesture of solidarity for a wounded opponent has descended into yet another social media feud, with keyboard warriors and WNBA fan haters scrutinizing every word Clark said.
There's Russell, 10 on the shot clock, been on the switch, tied it up, took it over the Trojans, and Watkins goes knee, quickly grimacing in pain.
Gugu Watkins, the USC phenom who sustained a severe injury during March Madness, is now at the center of this debate, but not because she chose to be. Rather, her name is being used against Caitlin Clark in a ridiculous dispute that is difficult to believe is real.
Playing basketball already. For the simple fact is she can pass.
However, the same toxic cycle is being witnessed here as Clark spreads kindness, and the internet turns it into something horrible. The pushback was immediate, vicious, and completely predictable. I'm sending all of my thoughts and prayers to Juju Kid, who will return stronger than ever because Clark's tweet, which was just 15 words long and included a heart emoji, somehow turned into a battlefield for the same old cultural fights that follow her everywhere.
A lot of players in the country playing Division I basketball. Nobody scored more points in one game this year than you. That's the most.
That's crazy. Yeah. More to come for sure.
Yeah, Caitlin Clark who?
No, don't do that.
Okay.
Don't do that. Much respect there.
No condescension, no malice, simply one athlete sending well wishes to another was enough to start a firestorm on the twisted world of WNBA Twitter, where critics sprang in, saying Clark's use of the word kid was disrespectful, dismissive, and even racially charged. The mental gymnastics were Olympic level, and the hypocrisy was astounding.
NBA history when it comes to starting guards in this league. 19 years.
This isn't just about basketball anymore. It's about a fan base that is so intent on demonizing Caitlin Clark that they will even turn her kindness into a crime. As the outrage mob yells, Juju Watkins, the injured player, has remained silent. So who exactly is this performative anger? The answer reveals everything that's wrong with sports discourse today. If you're sick of the bullshit, hit the like button, share this with someone who needs to see it, and subscribe for the unadulterated truth. Let's get started.
Rossi misses her first look from the perimeter to Boston. Back in, and it's Boston the finish.
The initial tweet that sparked everything following Gugu. Caitlin Clark did what any honorable rival would do and gave love to an injured opponent. During USC's March Madness game, Watkins suffered a terrifying injury. Clark used X, formerly Twitter, to provide support.
Assist per game, best assist in her career last season. Clark gets away with a little push, and a little reaction.
In a normal world, this would have been the conclusion of the tale, but Caitlin Clark lacks sanity, and the trolls show up minutes later.
Clark, Hass is going to let it fly, and the net!
Not to express gratitude to Clark for her sportsmanship or to wish Ju go well, but to analyze her word choice as though it were a federal case. The indignation was focused on a single detail. Clark called Watkins kid. That was the crime. Never mind that the term kid is used universally in sports by coaches, teammates, and legends alike. Suddenly, it was evidence of Clark's alleged haughtiness, disrespect, and privilege. The gold post moved at warp speed, and the pylon started the irony.
The goalposts moved at warp speed and the pylon began. The irony?
Juju, congratulations on a heck of a performance. So much on the line in this rivalry game. What was the mindset you guys brought into this game that allowed you to be successful?
I think teamwork. Everybody scored. Everybody made a positive effect on the.
However, every word Caitlin Clark says is viewed as scandalous because she is the one who dared to introduce women's basketball to millions of new followers. There is no greater example of the double standard. Caitlin is being punished, not protected. The internet anger engine went into overdrive. The frenzied backlash exploded, and the takes quickly became furious. One critic scoffed, "Kid, you're only 3 years older than her. Check your ego." Another person of color said, "Being called kid by a white girl feels demeaning."
Words of inspiration from WNBA phenom Caitlin Clark.
Fox 56
Turned out at the University of the Cumberlands last night to hear words of inspiration from WNBA phenom Caitlin Clark.
Fox 56 reporter Dejiana Wilson has more on how Clark's appearance was part of this year's Excellence in Leadership series.
The event drew hundreds of Kentuckians to watch.
Despite the fact that Watkins and Clark have never had a public argument or that she has never expressed offense, the accusation spread that Clark was condescending, patronizing, and even racist all over a word that LeBron James, Steph Curry, and every coach in America use on a daily basis. The performative anger reached parody levels, with some claiming that Clark was attempting to position herself as the wise veteran despite being only 22, and others insisting that she should have remained silent.
Henry had a clear out.
Ducks in. Bentley stays with her. Blocked from behind. Now Clark looking to push. Cross-court pass to Clark. She will launch and bury a three.
The hypocrisy was astounding. These are the same individuals who insist that women's sports receive greater attention until Clark, the game's biggest star, provides it, at which point her every action becomes an issue for me. The real victim goo-goo while Twitter warriors feigned to defend her honor. Watkins was lost in the midst of the confusion, and no one inquired about her feelings or made any statements. No subtweets, no sign that she was concerned.
Winning is what's going to make people upset, so just win. Like, that's simply how I view it.
Because she wasn't, the most repulsive aspect of all was that this was never about Guga, but rather about using her injury as a weapon against Clark.
I'm going to give a magazine to Beyonce, one to Blue Ivy, and one to Jay-Z.
The gloomy truth that lies underneath hatred, let's be honest. Caitlin Clark, the small-town Iowa girl who broke records, brought ESPN its highest ratings in decades and made the WNBA relevant to people who had never watched before, as well as to an unforgivable segment of the old guard, is the subject of this backlash, which isn't about a tweet.
Hey, that's what you just said. You good. You good.
The dark reality behind the hate. Let's be real, this backlash isn't about a tweet. It's about who Caitlin Clark is and what she represents. She's the small-town Iowa girl who shattered records, brought ESPN's highest ratings in decades, and made the WNBA relevant to people who'd never watched before. And for a segment of the old guard, that's unforgivable.
Want their isolated community to return, even if it means destroying the very star who is keeping the sport alive. They don't want new fans. They don't want change.
They don't want new fans. They don't want change. They want their insular community back, even if it means tearing down the very star saving the sport. The proof?
In and out. Ding it up to stop and get through.
The goalposts never stop moving. When Clark dominates, she's hogging the spotlight. When she shares the ball, she's not assertive enough. When she stays quiet, she's not a leader. And now when she supports a rival, she's patronizing.
The posts made of gold keep moving at all times. When the clerk takes over, she's stealing the show. When she shares the ball, she lacks assertiveness. When she remains silent, she's not a leader. And now, when she backs a rival, she's being condescending.
There's no version of Caitlin Clark they'll accept, because their issue isn't with her actions, it's with her existence. And And yes, race and sexuality play a role, let's not pretend otherwise. Clark is a white, straight, Midwestern phenom in a league where many longtime fans identify strongly with Black and LGBTQ+ culture.
They won't accept any version of Caitlin Clark because their problem isn't with her behavior, but rather with her existence. And while race and sexual orientation do play a part, let's not act as though they don't. Clark is a white, straight Midwestern phenomenon in a league where many devoted fans strongly identify with Black and LGBT+ culture.